Good Sunday evening, everyone. It is July 23rd, and we've got the tropics to talk about. There could be some tropical trouble in the Caribbean soon. And also, this heat wave is expanding east, and it could get pretty excessive over the next couple weeks. So, we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to look at any rain chances over the next week or so. All right, so let's get right into it. Alrighty, what you see in front of you is Tropical Storm Don. It's all the way up in the North Atlantic. It's going to be no threat to the United States, but it briefly became a hurricane, our first Atlantic hurricane of the season earlier today, but it has weakened down to a 60 mile per hour sustained wind tropical storm. It is actually moving, kind of wobbling around right here right now, but the general trend is to the northeast at around 16, 17 miles per hour. So, like I said, no threat to the United States, but we did have our first hurricane earlier today, and that was Hurricane Don before it weakened back into a tropical storm this afternoon. So here's a broad view of what's happening. Like I said, Tropical Storm Don is all the way up here in the northern Atlantic, and we have a disturbance has a 30% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. This is straight from the National Hurricane Center. So basically, an area of low pressure associated with a tropical wave continues to produce disorganized showers and thunderstorms about 700 miles east of the Windward Islands. So some slow development of this system is possible during the next couple of days as it moves westward towards the islands here and then into the Caribbean. So 30% chance of development over the next couple of days and 30% chance of development over the next 7 days as well. So this is something we need to keep an eye on as this continues to move west into the Caribbean and then possibly going towards the north or the west northwest. We'll just have to see how this transpires over the next week or so. Here's a broad satellite picture from the National Hurricane Center. This image was at 6:40 Eastern time today. Like I said, this is a broad area of disorganized showers and storms. It may slowly get its act together as it heads towards the islands over here. Like I said, 30% chance of development. We do have another tropical wave that came off the African coast here, so that's something we need to watch. And we have a big time cluster of storms about to come off of the African coast here as well. So lots of tropical waves we need to watch over the next week or two over the Atlantic basin. Now, we have been very stormy over most of the area besides Texas. Northern or Panhandle, Texas has been stormy, but overall, Texas and the southwestern parts of the United States have been very hot, and now that high pressure is going to flex its muscles and going to throw a lot of heat. Basically, over most of the country as we go throughout this week. We're talking probably 5 to 15 above average as we head out through the rest of the week, through most of the area. Alrighty, so here is what's going on as of right now. So we have this big high pressure. If I can get my tool here to work, so we have big high pressure basically right here over the four corners, and then basically a trough in the eastern part of the country here. That's basically the configuration of the jet stream at the moment. So it's been somewhat unsettled and nice and cool over most of the northeast over the past few weeks. Now, what's going to happen over the next few days is there's going to be a pretty significant piece of energy coming into Western Canada, which is going to expand this ridge out east. As you can see, this trough is starting to relax as we get towards tomorrow, Monday, and this high is going to flex its muscles and really start pushing heat and humidity east. By Tuesday, we got expansive high pressure over most of the United States, even towards Ohio and Pennsylvania, West Virginia. You're going to start feeling the effects. You're finally going to see your first taste of real summer weather coming towards the lower Great Lakes here up towards the northeast as well. But like I said, this high pressure is expanding and it's going to be like this probably for the next couple weeks before we get into some more northwest flow as we get into possibly in the month of August here. So let's take a look at some of the temperatures over the next few days. All right, we're going to go region by region here. So we're talking, these are high temperatures tomorrow. This is not including humidity. So we got widespread 100-degree weather in Texas, spreading into Oklahoma, into Kansas as well, upper 90s to around 100, mid to upper 90s, all the way up into Nebraska, parts of South Dakota. Look at these 100-degree readings up here in Montana, even, and close to Denver, you're in the 90s as well. You're going to have to get way up in the mountains to get into the 70s up in Colorado. Now, as we head towards, let's go to Tuesday. This is Tuesday. You see this this very hot weather is slowly expanding east. We're getting 90s just east of the Mississippi River now, up towards Peoria, Springfield, Illinois, 90 degrees. Get towards Springfield, Missouri, 96, 94 around Little Rock, 95 Tulsa, 97 in Oklahoma City. Get around the Dallas Fort Worth area, about 100 to 103 degrees around there. Widespread 100s basically across western Oklahoma into parts of Texas as well. Into Kansas too, 100, 101 is possible up here as well. Close to 100 around Kansas City. Lower 90s up here in Iowa. Like I said, these 90s are starting to expand east as we go forward. This is Tuesday, of course. So let's go towards Wednesday. This is Wednesday. See, these 100-degree temperatures are starting to spread to southern parts of Nebraska, mid to upper 90s, all the way up into Minnesota, right around Minneapolis, 97 degrees possible. And this model is actually the national blend of models. So it takes all the models, blends it all together, and creates an average all the models together. So this is a good tool to use to try to gauge high temperatures for certain areas across the United States. So, like I said, this heat is expanding south and east as well. Even towards, like I said, Minneapolis, going to be close to 100 degrees on Tuesday or Wednesday, that is. And then as we head towards Thursday, 100-degree heat is possible across Missouri River Valley in Missouri, down towards St. Louis, going up to parts of southeast Iowa, mid to upper 90s on Thursday. 99, approaching 100 degrees around Des Moines as well. 90s, pretty much widespread across the rest of the area here. Cools down just a little bit up in here in Montana into North Dakota and northern Minnesota. Other than that, widespread mid to upper 90s to around 100 is possible basically the rest of the week. Let's take a look at the East Coast now. All right, so let's take you into Monday here across the east. And it's beautiful weather up here towards New York. It's mid to upper 70s, right around 80 or so in Pennsylvania, 80 to 83 or 4 in Iowa. I'm sorry, Ohio is low 80s here in northeastern or eastern parts of Indiana, along the spine of Appalachians here, 70s to right around 80 degrees, 80s 80s back here in Kentucky, parts of Tennessee, which is somewhat below average for this time of year. Same across the south here, down towards Georgia, mid to upper 80s. That is below average. Same with South Carolina, and then you get up here towards Virginia, parts of North Carolina. You'd be lucky to hit 80 in spots across that area for Monday. Now let's go into Tuesday really quick. So Tuesday, you can see how this heat is expanding and going up the east coast here towards Virginia. So you're going from upper 70s to right around 80, and then gaining about 7 to 8 degrees on Tuesday across Virginia and the Carolinas. So easily approaching upper 80s to 90s, all the way down through the Gulf Coast. And this heat is expanding as we go towards Wednesday. This is Wednesday. You got 90s heading up towards New York City, even all the way across the East Coast. You're in the 90s. And a lot of you up here towards Ohio and Pennsylvania is going to get your first taste of real summer weather as we head through the mid to late week. Now we get towards Thursday, 90s are shooting up towards Connecticut, New York, like I said, Pennsylvania, Washington D.C. area, all the way down the East Coast here, and then we have hundreds popping up, like I said, across Missouri Valley in Missouri here, going towards St. Louis, around 100 degrees, mid to upper 90s across Illinois, even all the way up to Wisconsin and Michigan, and getting in on the 90s. Especially you get away from the lakes, it's going to get very hot. If you're along the lake shore, it will be somewhat cooler. All depends on the lake breezes, which way the wind's blowing. Basically, if you got some winds coming across the lake here in any direction, you will be cooler along the coast. But if you're, like I said, inland, you're going to be in the 90s easily across Michigan. So y'all probably wondering how has July been compared to average? So let's take a look at that temperature wise over most of the United States. I'm going to go back over the last 20 days. Basically, it's all of July, all of July here, and you can see it's been very above average across the southwestern parts of the United States, up towards the northwest parts of Washington, Oregon, down in Nevada. Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas as well. And then right along with the Gulf Coast, basically 2 to 5 above average so far for the month. But once you get up into Arkansas, parts of Oklahoma, we've had very unsettled weather. And then north of there, so we've been overall below average for this time of year. Basically, I-40 and north across most of the area has been anywhere between 2 to 6 degrees below normal as you go from Arkansas all the way up towards the Dakotas. So as we get over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be looking at 5 to 15 above average across most of the United States as we go forward. So that's something you need to watch out for. It's going to be heated indexes on top of that. The real field temperatures be at least 5 to 10, possibly more degrees above the actual air temperature. So you need to think about, make sure if you're working outside, make sure you're staying hydrated. Get if you can get some air conditioning every once in a while. You have to stay hydrated, otherwise heat stress will become a problem on your body, and it'll lead to heat stress related illnesses and heat stroke even as well, which is somewhat deadly. So here's the national view. As of right now, there is a lack of heat advisories out across most of the area, southeastern parts and south parts of the United States. You will see these heat advisories and excessive heat warnings really expand as we get towards midweek and beyond, probably covering most of the United States, especially east of the Rockies, but it's going to be hot out here as well, and it's still hot. Like we got excessive heat warnings out here towards California, parts of Nevada, including Las Vegas, and then over toward Bakersfield, California, towards Fresno, and then you got the desert southwest here of Arizona under excessive heat warnings. I think Phoenix has broken a record of consecutive 110 plus degree days. I think they were at 20 or 21 last I checked. The record before that was only, I think it was 17 or 18. So they've busted that already, that record of 110 plus degree days in a row. So something summer's going to finally flex its muscles across the United States, and over the next 2 weeks, we get some very brutal heat and very brutal heat indexes over the next couple weeks. So it's going to feel like a sauna out there across most of the United States, especially if you get that influence of the Gulf of Mexico moisture coming up. It's going to be oppressive across the area. Now, I posted this on Facebook the other day, get some comments on it. This is the fall outlook for the Farmer's Almanac that just came out. So this has chillier average precipitation up towards the northwestern parts of the United States, below normal temps, increasing precipitation out towards California, and then up here towards the Midwest. Northern plains here trending colder with above normal precipitation. Like I said, fall starts late in December, sorry, September. I believe September 21st is when fall starts. But most of this weather will happen probably October, November, and stuff like that. So down to the Great Lakes, they're thinking colder than normal, rainy and snowy conditions, colder than normal across the Northeast, near normal temperatures across the Southeast. Um, you're going to be influenced by the heat. The Gulf of Mexico is boiling hot. It's 90 plus degrees. And I thought I saw an observation off Key West, I think maybe a week ago. It was mid 90s for the water temperature. It was they measured it down to a 5 foot depth. That's just crazy hot. Basically like hot tub. The Gulf of Mexico is like a hot tub out there, and I'm just worried about if we can get any of this El Nino effects slacking off the Gulf of Mexico or into the Atlantic Basin. There's going to be a lot of trouble when it comes to hurricane season if that happens. So because there's a lot of ingredients, ingredients are maxed out, especially with the boiling Gulf of Mexico and parts of the Atlantic, which is way above normal for this time of year. So we can all look forward to fall if you like that. Some people love this hot weather. Me, I'd rather have feet and feet and feet of snow, to be honest with you. So, anyways, so enjoy the next couple weeks. Please stay safe out there. It's going to be very hot out there. Like I said, some people love this hot weather. Get by the pool. A lot of people are going on vacation before school starting up in a lot of places mid next month. So if you're going down towards the beach along the Gulf of Mexico, you're basically going to get into 90-degree bath water or hot tub water in the Gulf of Mexico. So hoping they cool down in the ocean is not going to happen. You probably have to resort to that local pool or so on. But stay hydrated. Keep yourself safe over the next few days. Like I said, heat illnesses and heat strokes are very common and will sneak up on you fast if you don't stay hydrated and cool yourself down. Stay safe out there, everyone, and we will talk soon. And we will have the winter outlook out in the supporter hub on Facebook and the member only area on YouTube, probably mid to late August as well. So that's something to look forward to over the next month or so. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great week.